Hi, ladies. This is Kalua with Collusion Health and Harmony, bringing you a little bit of sage wisdom again today. I come to you. I was recently in a meeting with a coworker, a colleague, who is a mental health counselor, and she was telling me how she has begun a group for the millennial young adults of basically a failure to launch group, right? There's this generation of young adults that are just not getting out there. They're not moving out of the house. They're not getting the jobs. And so there was such a need in the population that she works with that she's created this group. And of course, the parents are more than happy to get those kids in the group and kind of get them on their way. Right around the same time, I came across a I don't know if it was an article about an online school that someone has developed, kind of a similar thing. She was working with a lot of these young adults who didn't have basic life skills. And so she has created this online school for millennials to be able to not be embarrassed so that they could go and take classes such as how to balance a checkbook and how to boil noodles and really basic life skill stuff. So, I mean, some of you may be listening to that and thinking, well, that's kind of funny. Or some of you might be listening and saying, well, that's kind of sad. We're not preparing our kids to be adults. One of the things that really stood out to me, because I work with women and I see so many women who are so exhausted and depleted and doing it all, that I kind of see this like, wait a second, maybe there's a happy solution, right? We've got the moms who are doing way too much and, the young adults who don't know how to do anything. And so, that kind of 1+1 = 2. Okay, let's put it back on the kids. Yet sometimes there's just still that block. It's not happening. And I remember a story from a few years ago. My neighbor actually had 2 children in a very short amount of time. Surprise! So she had an infant and a barely 1-year-old, but she also had an older son who was about 6 years older than the two girls, and he would have been probably around 7, 8 years old at that point. And her husband was unfortunately away a lot helping a family member who was having some really critical health issues. So a lot of the household work was falling on her and, taking care of 2 very little babies and then still meeting the needs of her son. And she was exhausted and depleted. And, she was racing out in the middle of the night just to remember to get the garbage can to the curb so that it, wouldn't be missed in the morning. And, I started to talk to her and I said, well, what about getting your older son to help? He's 7, 8 years old. And, honestly, I had my daughter helping me with, taking out the garbage since she was 4. And my neighbor was really resistant to it. She said, no, I really want him to have his childhood. And I said, okay, well, that's your choice. I will note, though, some years later, her complaining about the fact that he sat around like a prince and expected everyone to wait on him. So I will say that is what became of that. But I had an observation this past weekend. I was really exhausted last week. I kind of got to this point of I'm tired. I'm feeling like I'm doing a lot and I'm worn out. I'm overtired. I'm worn out. And so this past weekend, our Sunday cleaning day, I really got a lot of help. My daughter, who's about to be 13, really picked up a lot of the slack. She did so many things for me, the vacuuming and the laundry. While I got the breakfast made, I cleaned up the kitchen and the back load of dishes. My son, my 4-year-old son, even helped with some of the breakfast stuff. And then my husband kept him out of out of harm's way while we got the other stuff done, which is a job in itself. And so I was able to get through, my things, the paying the bills and all these things without having to rush and feel like a crazy maniac and feeling like I had to do everything And then we actually had time to go out together and have some fun. We ran out, we got a couple things. The kids wanted some of those water squirters, so we went and got those, and then came home and had a huge water fight and played and ran around in the yard and had an amazing time. And if it weren't for everybody helping out, the day would have looked so different. It would have been everybody just stuck here hanging out, waiting for mom to be able to do it all by herself, which by the time that would have happened would have been the end of the day and we wouldn't have had time to do anything. So when I reflected on that, I realized, well, wait a second. Them helping actually gave them their childhood. It gave them time to go out and play and actually have some quality time with their parents. And, my daughter is really becoming a self-sufficient young adult. And my son is, of course, years behind her, but he's going to be on his way to that, already starting just like she did at his age, starting in the kitchen, helping out and doing things. So I encourage you to look at maybe your household delegation and how is that working for you? What is your balance between you being totally exhausted and then the kids actually being able to function when they leave your home, to be able to be an adult on their own? What are your thoughts on that? What gets in the way? I would love to hear from you and hear more about it. So it was great talking to you today, and I look forward to your comments. Thanks so much. Bye.